Now, onto a machine that didn't really have a lot of first-person shooters. It did, however, have a ton of fighting games. The Dreamcast. So, what I want to ask you first, this is the most important thing because we're gonna get a little heartfelt. We're gonna get a little emotional on this episode. This
Let
is
me get my
Wes's
tissues.
favorite system.
Let me get my tissues ready.
Wes, I'm gonna be quiet for a little while. I'm gonna let you speak completely open. I'll only maybe ask you a few questions. What was your 99.99 experience like?
My 99.99 experience. I was working at EB Games, and I remember, the day before launch, they came in, and our friend Greg, who recently started working with us, had to sleep overnight to guard them in the back room. He
Big
had
Greg?
Little Greg.
Little Greg. Okay.
Little Greg. For anyone that doesn't know, we had two people named Greg. One was older than the other, so they refer to as big and little. But anyway, it was great. It was the excitement surrounding the Dreamcast. It was amazing, and I mentioned it in another one of our podcasts that I was a big importer. So I already had my Dreamcast, and I would bring my import Dreamcast in the store to generate excitement and pre-orders to get people excited, because just seeing a picture in EGM or Die Hard Gaming Magazine, it wasn't the same as actually seeing it live and playing it. I remember showing Sonic Adventure, and the scene that got everybody excited was when Sonic ran down the building for the first time in 3D.
This would have been before they had like a demo unit inside the store.
Correct. I had bring mine in and hook it up to the little TV we had and just let people play. And it got pre-orders. So it was the excitement was there because I was excited. And then launch day came and the titles we got, and most of them were good. I loved it. Loved every minute of it.
So the Dreamcast, so you guys know, launched on November 27th, 1998 in Japan. Is that the time that you got it? Was it right around there?
I got it day one. There was a company based out of New York that I dealt with as far as my import games. I pre-ordered with them, and when it launched in Japan, I had it, shipped within a few days after that, but it was pretty close.
So you basically had it at launch.
I had it at launch.
That's awesome, man. What were some of the titles you picked up?
On the import side, I picked up Sonic Adventure. I picked up Blue Stinger. And I'm trying to remember the third title. There was a third title. I can't remember what the third title was, but Blue Stinger and Sonic were definitely like the launch titles. And I think it was a racing game. I couldn't remember which one it was though.
There was a few different ones. We'll hop into it in a couple minutes. Maybe it'll jog the memory.
But the American launch, because when the American launch came out, I wound up buying the American Dreamcast with just about every launch title that came out.
Was that system was region locked then? So American games would not play in your Japanese system?
Correct. It was region locked.
Okay.
So I had to buy 2 different sets of games.
Ooh.
Because
you didn't care though.
I didn't care. I just wanted it. You know how I was.
Yeah, man.
It's just you could get games because the Japanese market, that's where it originated. So you had games that came out 6 to 8 months sooner than the American market. So when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out for the Dreamcast in Japan, I immediately bought it, played it, even though it was in English. I loved it. And then when it came out in America, I wound up buying it in America like 6 months later to play for the American system, because when my friends came over, that's what we usually played on.
Just so you kids, I just want to make this clear for younger people. There's kids out there that might be listening to this. Back in the day, Japan, these Japan-centric companies like Sega, like PlayStation, their games would come first in Japan. Their systems would launch first in Japan. The market is flipped. Like North America controls the market more than anything else in the world as far as video games go. So now we kind of have a priority. Systems either launch globally or they launch here first. You will never, at least for the foreseeable future, see a system launch in another country that's not the North American market. It's always going to start launching here first. So some of you might have grown up since since PS3 or PS4, like since those generation of consoles, that they've always launched either day and date in North America or it was North America first. I know PS4 was North America first, which pissed off a bunch of people from Japan, I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt.
But this was a time where if you wanted to play it immediately, like Wes, you had to import the console. You had to buy the Japanese versions of these games to get them early. So that was a whole different experience that people wouldn't even understand today because they would just get the North American one.
Correct. Yeah, importing then was big business, and there were several different companies that I dealt with, and they were all very successful. Their games were on the rise, and gaming in general was becoming more popular, and that was big business then. Importing games. Dragon Ball Z. Before anybody heard of Dragon Ball Z in America, games existed a long time ago, and so if you wanted to play a Dragon Ball Z game, you had to import it.
What system was the first one on?
Nintendo.
The original Nintendo?
Famicom.
What?
Famicom. Then you had Super Famicom with Dragon Ball. Then you had the PlayStation and the Saturn. Yeah, they all had Dragon Ball Z games. And again, these are before anybody in America knew what Dragon Ball Z was.
I remember the PlayStation one. Like I know that you had a copy of it. I know a few people who had the PlayStation one. So if I had to guess, I would have guessed Super Nintendo because it probably came out a little bit before based off of what you were saying. But I would have never guessed the original Nintendo. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Dragon Ball's been around since the 80s. So what was your Dreamcast experience for $9,999?
So I would have been in high school at this point. I would have been a sophomore, a freshman or a sophomore, one or the other. I don't remember. I'd probably a sophomore. And I wasn't driving at the time. I can tell you that much because I had to get it day one, like just like you did, only not Japan. I had to get the North American version day one. So a little bit later than you, like a year later. But I was there on $9,999. I pre-ordered mine at a Babbage's. So if you guys don't know what Babbage's is, Babbage's eventually became GameStop, and they competed with EB Games. Eventually, GameStop bought EB Games. They became what is known as GameStop today. So Babbage's existed in the mall that I went to, and there was an electronics boutique there. This was before EB Games. That's where the EB came from. And EB was my preferred store, but they were sold out of pre-orders. I was able to get one at the Babbage's, so I was like, whatever, I don't care. Just give me my Dreamcast. Got my Dreamcast from them on $9,999. I went with my dad to pick it up. He got me out of school because my parents were awesome. Like, I did pretty well in school. I didn't mess around. Like, I had the fortunate position of being the second child. So I got to watch my older sister make a lot of mistakes in her life, and I just learned from them and didn't do the same thing. Like, pretty much what she would do, I would just do the opposite and I'd be totally fine.
Smart man.
So I was a good kid, and I went to school all the time. I got decent grades. My dad was like, all right, fine, I'll take you there. I think he paid for a portion of it. This is the first system where I really paid like a good chunk of it out of my own pocket. I probably paid like 50 to 75% of the console I paid for myself, as well as anything else that happened that day. So I got the console, I got a game, which was expected. And then one thing I wasn't ready for was the VMU, which was I think that was the first time I needed a memory card, if I remember correctly. Or no, maybe I needed one for PS1.
You should have needed one for PS1 because it didn't save anything.
Okay. I just think I didn't think about it. Because I got there and the guy was like, oh, you need this. And I was like, I looked at my dad, I was like, no, I need this. I have to have this. So, he helped me out. We got the console, we got out of there. And then I had to go back to school because they didn't want me taking a whole day off of school. So I went to school wearing a bright orange Dreamcast shirt from the launch. And everybody knew what the hell I did. I was stupid. I was like, I don't care. I got a Dreamcast. None of these kids got a Dreamcast. I'm happy as hell right now. And if anybody wants to play, they can come over to my house. We can go, I'll go play Soul Calibur, because that was I got Soul Calibur and Sonic. So it was like, those were my two games. And yeah, I went back to school. People knew I went there. I don't think the adults, like the principals and shit, like they had no idea what a Dreamcast was, but all the kids knew I had a Dreamcast, which was pretty cool. And I vividly remember it. It's like pictures in my mind. So that was a great day. Getting home, playing it, I could not wait to get out of school that day. I was dying for the rest of the day to get out of school because I wasn't allowed to play it right away. I had to finish that day of school.
Yeah, that because I was working, I do remember Sega sending us, all the employees, the Dreamcast shirts with the orange swirl in the center. We wore those that day, and I had to work. We opened up at 6 a.m., and that was, I couldn't wait to get out of work. I just wanted to go home and play. Even though I already had one, I couldn't wait to get home and play because there were a lot of American releases that Japan didn't see yet. So there were games that I needed to go and crack open and sit in front of my TV and enjoy.